How's it going, everybody? It is your favorite apostates, and we're back again. My name is McKay.
I'm Jordan.
And I am debuting a new shirt today. If anybody, the first person who can tell me what the name of the band is, it's a lame band. People don't listen to this shit. You can get a free sticker. So if you can read this, then comment what band it is, and I'll give you a free sticker of your choice. Yeah. Also, it's treat yourself season. And don't let anybody tell you that you're lame for drinking a pumpkin spice latte. Like, honestly.
It's true.
Treat yourself. Get that pumpkin spice latte. Don't get the apple crisp macchiato. It's not that great. Jordan did her hair. She wasn't saying anything, so I will tell you. Everybody check out Jordan's hair.
Well, we fell off the map for a minute because we thought I had COVID.
Yes.
I do not have COVID. I got tested and it was negative, but I am sick with something and I don't know what it is. So
she's feeling a little bit under the weather, but she's a trooper. She's getting up on the saddle and she'll probably sleep in extra tomorrow. So anyhow, today, we had to do it. I really hate coming back to the Paul and Morgan, but certain current events are warranting a video about Paul and Morgan and their very narrow-mindedness, which I hate. So we're doing Paul and Morgan again, but first, a very special treat. It just plopped into my lap literally like 5 minutes before we sat down to film. I was looking through the comments, and the perfect model Mormon of the week. So this week's model Mormon is Avery Nielsen. This is the first comment that they've left on my channel. I narrowed it down to 2 people on Facebook, but I'm not going to state who it is and why, because I could easily figure out who it is based on the channels that they watch. Anyhow, Avery comments on our last video about Mr. Holland and him being not very friendly to the LGBTQIA community. He states, he spoke the truth. Dismissing or making fun of what an apostle has to say is a recipe for disaster. Okay, thank you for your input there. A couple questions for you, Avery. Number 1, how do you know that it is true? And what are you talking about being true? Because he said a lot of dumb stuff. So
he's a prophet, so everything that comes out of his mouth is true. An apostle.
Oh, right.
So all of it's true, unless he was speaking as a man, for which none of it's true.
True.
Get it together.
There we. I'm sorry. I apologize. Obviously, that was really silly of me to ask. Second off, how do you know it's true? And can you prove it to me not using the standard works of the church, that being...
Or your own testimony.
Yes. Anecdotal evidence also is off the table. So anything that's not your own personal experience, the Book of Mormon, the Bible, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, anything that the modern prophets have to say. Can you verify what he is saying? And also, is that a threat? I think that's a threat. You shouldn't be making that. It's a recipe for disaster to be.
Are you creating the disaster?
Disagreeing with the apostle. What is he going to do? Castrate me? Is he like Brigham Young or anything? Look that up.
I think this is just a stupid person. I think you're giving him more credit than...
Yeah, I think he's probably not... I don't know why he left a comment if he's probably not down to discuss this. But anyway, snaps to Avery Nielsen. You are our model Mormon of the week. Thank you. So, now that we have that out of the way, without further ado, let's get on to the feature presentation. Okay, just an observation. Love the plants. I wish we could be plant people, but I kill everything that I touch. accidentally. So, plants. Don't take that out of context, people. Second of all, Morgan is wearing their own merch, which in and of itself is not a terrible thing. But when it's got your name on it, it's a little tacky. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, the title of this, I think it was a live stream. The little thumbnail says it was live, so I'm going to take them on that. It does kind of have a feel of a live stream, but the title was, Your Favorite Celebrities Panic Over Texas Abortion Ban? So, of course, the attention getter title that netted them 10,000 views. But okay, whatever. We're not going to talk numbers like that. Jordan, do you have anything to add to start this video off?
This probably goes without saying, but if you do not wish to hear commentary about or participate in a discussion about abortion or abortion-related topics, this video is likely not for you.
Yes. So we just a blanket trigger warning. Stuff like this is intertwined with subjects like sexual abuse and things of that nature. So just a fair warning to everyone beforehand. So,
and in obvious full disclosure, I guess, we are both avidly pro-choice. So
if you've watched more than one video from us, then you know what the deal is.
Yeah. So if that's not your deal, and that's fine, you don't have to watch. But just so you're watching that with that lens in mind, we are going to kind of rip apart those arguments that are straw mans. So
we're not going to watch the whole thing of this. It's like 50 minutes long. And I just kind of was skimming the beginning part, and that's what I really want to hit on right now. Anyway, let's get to it.
What's up, you guys? How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
In today's live video,
I guess the benefit is
we're talking about a very serious topic.
Intro sequence.
As he laughs.
Well,
as he laughs.
I like to I bring a lot of life and energy to make up for Morgan, who is feeling a little bit. She's feeling a little less energetic this video, but let's just get into this. So we're talking about.
I mean, honestly, we should be.
She's seriously
celebrating.
Oh yeah, no, it's exactly that's.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a leap and say, if you're in our audience, you probably are not feeling that way. I don't know what's to celebrate. I feel like if you don't have a very good grasp on the complexity of this topic, you would celebrate, but a lot of people who don't have a grasp on the full expanse of everything that this affects. So Jordan's a social worker, and I have a feeling that she's going to rip one of these two to bits. So watch out.
Where my exuberance is coming from. It's a celebration that some people absolutely do not see it that way. In fact, I've been hearing and seeing tweets, and we're about to get into some popular celebrities, perhaps some of your all's favorite celebrities and politicians.
Don't idolize celebrities or politicians.
Do I have a favorite celebrity or politician? No. I don't think I do.
No, there are people who I'm like, wow, I really like the things that they make up, but they're not people who I really value their opinion or anything, especially if it goes in contrary to mine.
I hope these aren't your favorite politicians, but maybe you are.
I hope they're not, because they're left wing.
Or come one, come all.
I just want to make a comment here. Literally anybody who's like Republican or conservative leaning, whenever there's they have to include a photo of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they always pick out the
most unflattering,
very unflattering picture, and prove me wrong that it's not a microaggression, honestly.
Paul and Morgan live stream. We're here to talk about it. even if Hillary Clinton is your favorite politician. We
Bruh.
still welcome you. We still welcome you.
Do you
even
really,
though my
though?
jaw would be on the
Bruh, it's
floor
2021.
if I heard that was the case. But
Everybody's
anyway,
moved on.
We're going to be reading some
We're done with
tweets of popular celebrities that are not happy, that are very concerned
Does she have a tattoo on her finger?
with what is going on in Texas with the ban, the law
I don't know.
Like one of her fingers,
that
on the
was just
very
passed.
top.
So yeah, I'm
I
excited.
don't care about the dog.
Are
It's a
you ready to
heart.
go?
Oh.
Yes.
Guys, we'll get to your all's live chats.
Okay, there it is alive.
Yeah, the chat room. We'll get to that at the end of this because I definitely want engagement. I want questions and just back and forth, seeing where you guys are at. Make sure that you give it a thumbs up to help this
The
video
algorithm.
and the algorithms. If you believe that these topics are
Look at these guys. They are pro YouTubers.
They got ratioed on this.
Did they?
Yeah.
important to discuss, especially from a Christian
Don't try to ratio him with the thumbs down. It still helps him.
perspective as best as
It
we
just
can.
looks dumb.
Make sure that you help us get the word out by giving it a thumbs up. Yeah, so let's go. Let's go. Why don't we start, Morgan? And I see you yawning. I am
Oh my
getting
god.
She does what I
you
do.
involved here.
I yawn like
was
that.
a
Let's start
yawn.
by just kind of reading for those who are like, I've heard something big is happening in Texas. I've seen a lot of backlash from the Democrats and the liberals and the celebrities and the media.
The liberals.
What exactly is going on?
Bro, not just the Democrats and the liberals, but the libertarians who are definitely not anything like that.
No,
anyway, that's
it's just-
neither here nor there. But
There's no nuance. It's
There's no
just
nuance.
the Democrats and the liberals.
yes,
Damn it.
the left wing. Okay, never mind. He's
give a
gonna read
brief
it. We'll
summary.
correct it.
So
Needed.
we know we can trust Fox News. So let's do.
Stop. Please stop. Morgan's face right now is
man.
me. Please stop.
Dude, come on. Come on.
Fox. What?
I swear to God, if he's ever said anything like, you can't trust the mainstream media, literally right there, his argument out the window.
Babe!
Let's just look
you
at the Fox.
put us in a whole other category when you say things like that.
I'm kind of
I'm
At least-
kind of joking.
joking. Obviously, Fox News
No, you're
has the
not.
conservative leaning, but no. Let's do
No.
Fox
You
News.
tro-
Let's just
No.
get
Come
the
on.
overview.
Has
here.
insanity. That's what it
Supreme
is.
Court allowing Texas abortion law to take effect sparks intense reaction on both sides.
So not just the
Starts
Democrats.
out, no child should have her skull crushed and be ripped into pieces in an abortion, said Lila Rose.
At
Hey.
6 weeks.
Are you a doctor who performs abortions? Do you know that's what happens? If you're not, then shut the hell up.
That's how Fox News started their article.
It's pandering. It's totally pandering, and it's making gross, like needlessly descriptive.
Yeah. No,
It's shock value. It's
a
shock
hook.
factor.
Yeah.
Law effectively limits abortions after 6 weeks of conception. She was referring to surgical abortions that involve dismembering the fetus before evacuating it in pieces. Man,
Whoa. You gotta read the tweet.
that was the tweet. Lila Rose, what I started with. No child should have her skull
Okay.
crushed. No mother should have her baby torn from her womb. No father should be stripped of his right.
This is reaching.
What? No mother should have her child torn for Now he's confused. Because generally, if you have an abortion, it's because you want the abortion.
It's called elective. abortion.
Generally speaking. Of course, there might be outliers, but generally speaking, that's how that works. So no woman is having children ripped from her womb because she didn't consent to an abortion.
Yeah. Obviously, there are
What?
circumstances of coercion and things like that.
What?
But
To protect
Okie
his
dokie.
baby. So there you go. This is a historic moment in the fight to protect women and children from abortion. So you see, like, it's starting out saying this is a really good thing, and then it moves on and says, Planned Parenthood, the nation's leading
here we
abortion
go.
provider, vowed to continue fighting. And they made a tweet opposing it.
what else does Planned Parenthood do?
Can we make a donation to Planned Parenthood in honor
In
of
their
Paul
name?
Morgan?
Don't test me. I'll do it.
And then Alexis McGill Johnson tweeted, "To be clear, Planned Parenthood health centers remain open, and we are here to help Texans navigate this dangerous law. We will continue to fight in the courts for abortion rights and access." Okay, that's the CEO of Planned Parenthood. Now let me just get real quick to, here's Politico, who I believe is more of a left-leaning news site. I'm not totally sure.
I don't know
about that.
They said, beyond outlawing abortion...
I do appreciate that if that's
if he's
what...
attempting to do both sides.
Yeah.
As early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy, the Texas law signed in May would deputize citizens to file civil suits. And this is the part that's honestly really interesting. It's all interesting. It would
horrific, I think is the word.
Deputize citizens to file civil suits against abortion providers or anyone who helps facilitate the procedure after 6 weeks, such as a person who drives a pregnant person to the clinic. Individuals found to have violated the law would have to pay $10,000 to the person who successfully brings such a suit.
That's crazy.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh my God.
Like
bro.
that, honestly, like I'm reading that and I'm like, whoa. That is like a really almost strange layer to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've been seeing a lot of people kind of comparing this to other things. Let's not compare this to the Holocaust and slavery and things like that. This is a thing that's all its own. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong, but comparing it to other things like that,
we just need to stop doing that in general.
Not
if you're
helpful
comparing
ever.
anything to things of that nature, just stop.
Yeah. There's no comparing, and nothing is compared to those two things individually, which are separate from each other. Just stop. Anyway.
And Ben Shapiro talked about that in his podcast episode today or on Wednesday. I can't remember when he posted it, but talked about what that would look like and why they specifically wrote the law out to be that way. It makes sense. It still is wild, but it just, he explained it a lot better than we could even try. So if you're like, what? Go listen to that, or just
don't go listen to Ben Shapiro.
I literally,
please, for the love of God, don't.
Never listen to Ben Shapiro and come away from it and been like, yes, I now understand a little bit better, because
he almost gets off on talking about abortion. So do not fuel his fire.
It's gross.
More.
Sure, because when you...
That goes for all the people at the Daily Wire, which our friend from earlier is an avid watcher of literally every single person at the Daily Wire.
Read that, and Politico even went on to say, a bounty abortions right. Anti-abortion groups in the states, such as Texas Right to Life, blah blah blah. Never mind. All right, so that's super interesting. Obviously, to me and Morgan and I, as pro-lifers, Christians, conservatives, we're like, praise the Lord.
Of course.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
And then you see all the pro-choice, pro-abortion people saying, this is outrageous. This is like a Handmaid's Tale come to life, comparing it to women under
fictional
the Taliban.
Things, yeah.
All of these things, they're saying this is incredibly oppressive. And, I don't want to ignore their plights as we read some of these celebrities. I'm not...
But we're going to clown on them, is what I'm getting at here.
It's a really privileged thing to do, to be able to sit there and be like, we're pro-lifers, we're Christians, we're conservatives, and, we feel for the plight of the poor shut the hell up, Paul. No uterus, no opinion. And the only thing I have to say to Morgan is she's too uneducated to have a valid point, because one, she can't empathize with anybody who might be in that position, because she's never had to be in that position, presumably herself. So this is just...
I feel like her opinion might be a little different if she had.
Yes. Yes, it might. So. And it just makes me... And even if she had, I don't even know. They're so entrenched in their own opinions, it might not have even made a difference.
Who knows?
But it's really a privileged position to sit there and be like, yes, I'm going to deny abortion is healthcare. We're going to deny healthcare to women. That's cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
Just reading these to scoff at them, I actually feel like many of these people they
Okay, then why did you put that picture of AOC like that, dog?
Your favorite celebrities panic over like really your title, your
Come on.
thumbnail.
Yeah. It's so disingenuous what you're saying.
Very
right now.
obvious what's happening here.
they're passionate about women's rights. They're like, this
You're not.
is a hill I'm gonna die on. Unfortunately, I'm not wavering on this issue.
And why is that? Because you can't separate church and state. This is really what I wanted to hit on this, is the whole, like, we have religious freedom, and our religious freedom is going to trump your other freedoms because we don't feel like this is, and there's no basis for it other than this is the culture of white evangelicalism, whatever the hell, that's been around for I don't even know how long at this point, but it's like it has no biblical basis. The same, and they use all the same
It's just like
passages of scripture: Jeremiah 1:5, Psalm 123, I think.
it's
or
like the
something
same
that.
thing when
Oh
they
my
try
God,
to say
it's
that
so
being
annoying.
gay is a sin. Like they take a bunch of really vague, nothing can confirm or deny type of information and say that that's what justifies it. And so, but
Yeah. And I knew Jeremiah 1:5 before I formed thee in the womb. I knew thee. I don't know what it is in English. I memorized it in Spanish, but that's what a lot of people use as a talking point, as like, see, life begins at conception, and it's like the most vague shit.
Mormons don't even believe that.
Yeah. You want to know what I use that verse for? I used that verse to prove that we were together with God before we lived on earth. That was what I used that verse for.
So you could take that a variety of
Literally,
ways.
I was using it in an entirely different way than what these people were doing. How come I would use that in that direction and they're going to use it in a different direction, and it's the same damn verse?
It's also disappointing. Like this type of behavior coming from cis white men is not surprising. But when we have it's white women, y'all, when we have white women, especially in this fight, totally against, I mean, that's not women supporting women. That's not feminism. That's not sisterhood. That's not Christ-like behavior. That it's not. And so it's just really disappointing to see it from other women, because from men, I expect it, because there's this whole
Seriously.
misogynistic patriarchal bullshit that goes on. But it doesn't surprise me that Morgan's wrapped up in it too, because she's married to Paul, and God forbid she have a different stance than him on something.
Seriously.
The unborn, that babies in the womb have a right to life and should be protected. So even
Until they're born.
A 6 week, like we're talking about 6 weeks. Anything after 6 weeks is not allowed in Texas anymore. Most women don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. People who are doing IVF, who are paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to get like actual fertilization process happen in the lab, generally don't even know.
People
at
who
6
are
weeks.
trying,
Okay.
like actively trying to get pregnant. We didn't even know for sure at 6 weeks.
If you know it's like there's that's not normal.
Our doctor didn't even, he was like, okay, you think you're pregnant? We'll see you after, I think
12.
it was, 12 was, I think, the first ultrasound. We didn't do anything up until that point.
And so it's not even a fair metric, because it's like, yeah, women don't know they're pregnant, but at 6 weeks, that's insane. Like, that's insane. And whatever you want to call it at 6 weeks, I don't even think it's a fetus at 6 weeks. I think it would still be an embryo at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so to call it a baby, it's not a baby, y'all. I'm sorry.
It's not viable at 6 weeks.
It's not.
It's
It's not breathing at 6 weeks.
No, it's not moving.
It doesn't have a mind of its own
Yeah.
at 6 weeks.
So-
And people might disagree with us on that, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but
that's fine. Yeah, if you don't agree with us on that, that's fine. But that's only half of the issue here. We're talking about a lot of people who go to elect an abortion may be in a situation where they cannot financially handle it. I feel like a lot of people, that's the case. So we're going to, if they don't even have enough money to financially support a child, what doctor are they going to have a pregnancy test done? Are they going to go out and buy a pregnancy test at the pharmacy? They're not going to know at 6 weeks.
No.
So they're going to be forced, because they found out after 6 weeks, to carry to term and then somehow financially provide for a child that they knew that they couldn't handle in the first place. And don't give me the bullshit of, oh, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and do it. Because those are the same people who are like, oh, people are on welfare. Oh, people have Medicaid or Medicare or whatever. And literally bitching all the time how there's kids in the foster care system that they're not willing to handle or help or do anything about. They're just going to bitch and restrict abortion access, restrict birth control access, et cetera, ad nauseum.
And here's the thing, is that a lot of people will say, okay, well, if you didn't want the pregnancy, you can just give it up for adoption once it's over.
Yeah, just.
Have you ever had to be pregnant against your will? Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever been forced into a position where your body is no longer yours?
Yeah. And imagine it if you had a good pregnancy. Now imagine if you had a absolute shit pregnancy where you almost died giving birth for a baby that you were just going to give up because you didn't want it.
And that, like, this would have been, I think it's important to elaborate on the fact that some women have abortions because of financial circumstances or feeling like they're not prepared, feeling like they're not, like, in a space where they're...
Sidebar. It's nobody's fucking business anyway.
It's not. But I also want to say, if you want to have an abortion just because you want to have an abortion, that's also within your right. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it to anybody. You don't have to say XYZ, I wasn't ready. I'm not financially stable. Like, I don't have anywhere to live. You don't have to explain it to anybody. You just have one. And that's perfectly fine. Like, there's this whole idea that, like, and this is how Mormons are. Mormons think that abortion is okay in the instances of if you
That's
were...
in the handbook.
It is in the handbook.
Yeah,
it's if you were raped and became pregnant, or you were...
Cases of incest.
That, or if it's like a medical emergency and the life of the mother is in danger, then they'd warrant it for those circumstances. But again, this all goes back to the fact that women don't have bodily autonomy and don't have rights to what happens to them until they've been violated. So let's think about what message that sends.
Here to clean up after the fact, doing nothing to prevent it. Not a good look. And for people to not empathize, and I understand Paul and Morgan don't give a shit what people would interpret as loving your neighbor, because I watched a little bit of their video about people being like, hey, loving your neighbor is wearing a mask, and they're like, that's like the Pharisees. Like, okay, then what is it? Freaking, if we're gonna go off of 400 B or AD definitions of loving your neighbor, like,
loving your neighbor
honestly,
is caring for your neighbor, and caring for your neighbor is wearing a mask so you don't get them sick.
Yeah.
Is that really that hard? 1 + 1 = 2, y'all.
Being a non-shit human being, which everybody has the ability to do, whether they're Christian or not. Loving your neighbor is not an intrinsically Christian value. It's a human thing. Literally, the survival of humanity depended on that for thousands of years.
Christianity is not the gift to the world that they think it is.
It really isn't. And it's great because it does promote some good values, but
then you have people like this who just ruin it for the rest of the Christians that are decent. You know?
They wear their own merch and they say, yeah, let's celebrate people being oppressed.
Let's make fun of celebrities that are left-leaning.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I want to hear and respect other opinions. I'm not wavering.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I want to hear you and understand and empathize. Nope, just kidding. No, I don't.
I'm not wavering.
I'm not changing my opinion. Okay.
Agreed. I think that this is a topic that no matter what type of, because we've just seen so much proof that life begins at conception.
No.
Name your sources. It better not be Jeremiah 1:5 for the
Girl,
love.
send me some sources, girl.
And so to say that it's fine to abort a fetus, it's not a fetus, it's a baby.
No, it's really not.
What's the science term? It's a fetus, friend. Jeez.
And it deserves to live. So doesn't really matter what anyone says.
And real quick, before
Then
we
why are
get
you
to
doing
some of
this?
these tweets and go over them of the celebrities that want abortion and that are really...
Oh, tell me you ain't got some good feelings about this.
The fucking straw man, they want abortion. It's like just forcing people's hand on things.
Because if you're pro-choice, and that automatically means you're just like, you're living to have an abortion.
Oh
you're
my
just
God.
waiting for your opportunity.
Babies are pollute the earth. We need to abort them all.
That's what people think, and that's what happens when you indoctrinate people with media from like Fox News and Ben Shapiro, because that's the message that it sends. It dehumanizes people on the left, dehumanizes Democrats into these like baby eating, sacrificing children to the devil worshiper, whoever, instead of being a person who's like, no, I believe that abortion is a human right. It's healthcare. And if you don't want an abortion,
Don't
Morgan,
get one.
Don't get one. No one's going to stop you. No one's
Nobody's
going to
forcing
force
it on
you.
you.
So guess what? Just don't get one.
Yeah, that sounds like freedom if I've ever heard of it. Oh, you don't want to get an abortion? Don't get one. Simple as
It's
that.
really that easy. It's
You
just
don't want
like,
to eat a Snickers? That's fine. You're acting like a bitch, but
well, here's what and it's like this with a lot of Christians. It's like, you know, it's my religious beliefs, but I'm going to impose my religious beliefs on you, and you have to act according to my religious beliefs because they're mine and they're religious and freedom. It's like, that's not how that works.
Freedom.
You can choose to live by your religious beliefs, but that does not mean you can impose it on other people. And that's the issue with abortion. You cannot impose your own personal problems, whatever they are, with abortion on other people just because you don't agree with it.
for real. They make it out to be so, and they give you the whole runaround on the arguments and like, oh, well, the Bible said, oh, well, my personal belief is, it makes no sense.
And we're not even
Honestly.
coming from like a medical or a scientific perspective. Like, show me the research that you have that says life begins at conception. And I'm talking peer-reviewed articles from the last 10 years, and you can't.
Literally nobody defines that.
We're like, these two aren't even based in science. Like, we're so far out from science at this point, it doesn't matter. And that's the other layer of the abortion argument, is there's so much misinformation about what abortion is, because the right spends all of its time turning it into, you know, ripping out children limb by limb
and selling the aborted fetuses to Doritos so they can make nacho cheese flavor dust. I have seen somebody post that to Facebook in the last 5 years. Like, honestly, it's embarrassing the amount of disinformation that happens around this topic. It's fear-mongering.
It is. And
it's a joke.
And if the further right you lean, I feel like the easier it is to be taken advantage of, because this information sucks you in, and there's hundreds of thousands, presumably, if not more, of people who are sucked into QAnon, and to people who aren't in it, it sounds totally freaking crazy. But to them, it is absolutely...
It's church.
The shit. Like, it is exactly what's happening. And so it's a slippery road to walk down when you're choosing sources like this that are choosing to fearmonger and misrepresent information and sensationalize
and not look at anything objectively.
No.
Like, I used to be in their shoes. I totally see where they're coming from, especially when it comes to their faith. But pushing it on other people, it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't make you a hero.
No, absolutely not.
You're not special because you wouldn't have an abortion. There's literally nothing special about that. So if you think your God is going to give you a pat on the head for that, I would encourage
and that you made sure that nobody else got an abortion.
I would encourage you to pick something else, because this isn't the hill to die on, because nobody cares. This doesn't make you special. You don't get a gold star. You don't get a gold star for standing in the way of other people's needed health care.
Seriously.
This also brings up the issue of, what if there is a mom in an emergency room whose life is on the line and the child's life is on the line, and an abortion is necessary to save mom, and does that count? And they might have outlined that in the law. But these are the kind of issues that this brings up, is that when
There's
a medically necessary abortion might be necessary, or are you going to force that 15-year-old to carry her rapist child to term because you don't like abortion?
Yeah. And then watch both of those children, 15 is a child, struggle in the system. And then you're going to bitch about it because your taxpayer dollars are wasted on it.
But don't adopt, consider foster care, contribute to people who are trying to help, like Planned Parenthood, or support comprehensive sex education, or free birth control, or the myriad of other things that you can do to prevent abortion, because we know from research what prevents abortion. We know.
And it's not a ban.
And it's not saying, "Oh, I'm against abortion," and it's not putting a ban on it.
Abortion is icky, and I don't want people to do it.
Because I have news for you. Just because legal abortions have stopped in Texas doesn't mean abortions have stopped in Texas. So maybe you should consider that for a moment. This isn't doing anything. It's doing nothing.
Yeah. Just make it illegal. Oh, did somebody tell the drug cartels that smuggling drugs is illegal? Oh, I figured they would have just stopped.
And systemically, when we think about this from the perspective of who this really affects, is it's going to be poor, in poverty,
marginalized,
particularly women of color. White, middle class to upper class, rich women probably won't have a problem.
Because they can travel.
Getting an abortion.
They can go somewhere else.
But this affects marginalized communities. It punishes those communities.
Yeah. For being born the way they are, which is the absolute worst bit of it.
While white women can still get unfettered access to this type of healthcare if they need it.
So, yeah. Do we even want to go any further on this video?
No. I'm over these two. I don't have...
Yeah, honestly, it's just... it was just more of a vehicle for us to talk about this subject and just be like, wow, these... And we didn't even touch on any of the absolute bullshit that I've seen on Twitter, Reddit over the past week of these people who are just so ill-informed. I literally saw some guy who was like, you could just keep your legs closed because if you don't get air and sunlight there, then you can't have a baby. What? How we allow these kinds of people on the internet? What the...
It's just frustrating because...
this is a man, by the way.
Shocking.
Shocking.
The right talk out both sides of their mouth. They can't have it both ways because they say, we don't want abortions. Abortions are bad. Killing babies, dismembering babies, whatever. Trying to sensationalize, turn heads, get people to be like, oh my God. And that's what they do. But we also have the evidence, and it's widely known, the research, what prevents abortions and what decreases the abortion rate. And we have that information, and we know what those things are. And it's backed by research and evidence, and we know those things. But the Republicans also won't enforce those things. That includes having comprehensive sex education, which Republicans typically fight against. That includes because why?
Of religiosity and purity culture.
So if you really wanted, here's the thing, if you really wanted to stop abortions, if that was your main concern, then wouldn't you do the evidence-based list of things that people have come up with
first,
that empirically reduce abortion rates and unwanted pregnancies? Wouldn't you do those things? Oh, wait, you're going to outlaw those things too? Okay, so then we're wondering why abortion rates are going up, because comprehensive sex ed, access to birth control, all of those things are being overly regulated by Republicans.
Diminished.
And then you wonder why the abortion rate keeps going up. And then you ban abortions and the abortion rate is still, I mean, the reported abortions are going down.
Yeah.
Unreported abortions aren't going anywhere. So
Anyway.
they want it both ways, and you can't have it both ways. So it's not really about stopping abortions. It's about sticking to their stupid, ill-informed, right-wing religious beliefs.
Yep. That's also why I wanted to touch on this, is because, like, purity culture has a part to play in this. And we've talked about Paul and Morgan and their involvement in perpetuating bullshit purity culture and things like that, just like Nate and Sutton and Girl Defined. I'm sure they have some hot takes on this subject. But these things complicate. It affects everybody, not just people within religious communities, but we can see here that it affects everybody.
Well, there's a level of snobby elitism that comes out of this. Like Paul and Morgan are against women who have had abortions and would never have them themselves, and that makes them better than people who would or believe that other people should be able to have abortions. Like, that elevates them on some, like, proverbial platter because they think they're so much better than everybody else for that. Like, Christ-like love is unconditional.
Well, where'd you find that in the scriptures, Jordan?
Like, it's just not like this. If I was a Christian woman who formerly had an abortion, and guess what? They're out there.
It happens.
Watching this, I would be like, this does not make me feel Christ-like love. This is two people debating about something that they know nothing about. Like most people.
Probably didn't have to experience it at all.
Have no empathy for a person who might be in this position and are just outright spewing nonsense. And that's not Christ-like. That's not going to have someone walking away from their video being like, yeah, Jesus would still love me if I had an abortion. Which I think that's the whole point, isn't it?
Nope. Not even in the Mormons. If you have an abortion and you want to get baptized, you, as a missionary, when I was interviewing people for their worthiness of baptism, I explicitly had to ask them if they had ever been involved in an abortion. And if I had, I would stop the interview right then, walk out, and call the mission president, and he would have to interview them himself. So,
but some discrepancy, like some clarification in the handbook when it talks about, like, murder is outlined in the Mormon handbook for how to deal with that if that comes up. And in there, it says that abortion is not murder. Like, those two things are not the same.
it
So
explicitly outlines that.
And so even Mormons who are like, yeah, Texas ban, all this, like, this contradicts what Mormons want. This contradicts Mormon policy. And so if Mormons are on board with this, I encourage you to go back and read what
The
12
says.
and the handbook have said about this issue. Because this would not allow for the exceptions that the Mormon church provides. How's that for government regulation?
Well, food for thought there. I'm sure I would hope that there would be a religious exemption for that, for the Mormons. You know, the church has done a lot of harm. I would hope that they would fight for that exemption, but leadership roulette. Anyway, let's not get too derailed here. I just really wanted to show kind of the start of that. I didn't want to get them into... I didn't even want to know if they're going to be, like, disparaging people's opinions to their followers. So we're just going to not go there.
So that was fun.
If you're still here,
pat on the back for you.
We have mentioned t-shirts and stickers to drop. Well, poo for us. The t-shirts did not turn out the way that we wanted to. We ordered some samples and they just...
Quality is not great, and we don't want to sell something that the quality is not great.
We're trying to find a local printer for those, but we'll keep you up to date. And so Jordan has a couple sticker designs coming up. Keep your eyes out for those. Sorry about the shirts. But you can find those at Happy Brain Collective on our Etsy store, down in the description. Make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. Jordan keeps everybody up to date on Instagram. We have a decent sized video bank on TikTok. If you want like a laugh or to get angry, then go over there. At Jordan and McKay, you can find us on both of those. We also have our Patreon. We love our patrons. They are amazing. We shout them out at the end of every video. If you would like to become a patron, we dropped over the weekend a blooper reel. It was some of the most fun that I have ever had, and I look like a total dip in that video. So, consider joining our Patreon. Go check it out. Other than that, thank you to everybody who continues to support us. You guys are amazing, and we will see you next time.